Good evening, everyone. Many of you tell me what these three people on the street have in common. I promise it's deeper than the letter S starting their name. In fact, each one of them suffered from homelessness at some point during their life. My name is Eric, and I'm here to talk about Walmart's career training. We're here to build a better community and see what we can do to align our interests with the Dallas Chamber of Commerce. A brief agenda. We're going to get a little bit into why homelessness is such an issue in the DFW area, and we're going to talk about the nonprofit we intend to partner with for this event. We're going to talk about our proposal, and then some of the logistic requirements for it. And finally, we're going to run through our budget, and at the end, we'll have some time for questions. Dallas has nearly 4,000 homeless residents, according to a point-in-time count done last year, and that's up 24% from roughly 3,200 the year before. It's very difficult to imagine what it's like to be homeless, so in order to introduce you to that, I'm going to kick this over to Dylan, who's going to talk a little bit about it.
Thank you, Mr. Eric. As you have seen, homelessness affects all colors, shapes, and sizes. It can happen to anyone. Oftentimes, it is the unlikely result of a perfect storm of life's contingencies and environmental choices and factors. So it's not always as simple as they chose to be homeless, and more often than not, probably it didn't. This can culminate into a hard-to-reverse quicksand-esque type of phenomenon. Compound life surprises with Dallas's increase in unaffordable housing, and you have a homelessness boom. Homelessness is hard to reverse once it's started, particularly because of the challenges they face in finding employment. Sleep is also hard to obtain whilst homeless and can prevent them from feeling basic motivation and the basic urge to get up and do important things like fulfill menial tasks. And I have a hard time getting out of bed. It's nice and warm in the sheets, so if you're homeless, waking up on concrete or some type of bench, it's probably a lot harder to start from there and go about your day with the motivation and vigor necessary to turn things around. So that's where we aim to help. Basically, without sleep, their confidence is stripped and their mental faculties are taken away, making a hole they are in even harder to climb out of. And most vulnerable of all of the homeless is women and children, who comprise nearly half the homeless population of Dallas-Fort Worth. And according to one nonprofit, a whopping 92% of females who are homeless of all ages have experienced severe physical or sexual abuse at some point while on the streets. So that's something our group, happily hopes to turn around. Besides that, we aim to positively affect the seeds that manifest into the culture and place that Dallas is, and we have come to know and love. So this is Synovia. Nobody chooses what responsibilities they're born with, but not everyone steps up to the plate to tackle them like Synovia. She was working 2 full-time jobs at roughly 80 hours a week and taking care of her mother, who was in a similar situation to where Synovia became, as well as her 9 siblings. It's very hard to imagine, but Synovia's life was dedicated to making the lives of others at least okay. So Synovia basically was just barely overtaxed. She found her limit and succumbed to a sort of mental impasse or mental breakdown. And after trying a variety of treatments, she found refuge at the bridge. She was very happy to stumble across that. She's very thankful for the bridge and all that it does in the Dallas area and how it actually changes people's lives. It's a great jumping off point. And it's basically, the bridge is absolutely phenomenal, and Maria's going to tell you a little more about that.
Thank you, Dylan. We are actually going to be partnering out with the Bridge. It's a premier homeless recovery and homeless shelter. They have in their facility a day shelter for those that come and seek shelter for them. They also have nighttime, as well as the laundry rooms, facilities, game rooms. They also assist those that have addictions. They do health screening. The few that are trying to get jobs, they'll assist them in finding their documentation paperwork. They also have a computer lab, which is essentially if you're trying to find jobs and get improvement on your resume. They do health screenings, and they also help you transition into new housing, which is what we're trying to assist with. In our proposal, we will talk about employment training facilitator guide, which is what we're trying to create by improving employability to those candidates in a 2-day training program. Walmart will actually host real experiences in the seminars. They will also have realistic scenarios. So when you go to the event, you have kind of a mock setup of how an interview will run, how a resume should be set up. They will also have qualified staff to review that. Even though we do have volunteers, we'll have qualified staff who will assist those candidates from the bridge to make their, whether it's resume or their skills improved and showcase in that mock interview. The bridge will actually be facilitating their facility to us to host this two-day training and provide a safe environment for our candidates. They don't have to feel threatened, they can feel at home and have suitable candidates for us. And then I'll now pass it on to Elizabeth, who will discuss our modules that we'll be hosting in a two-day seminar.
Thank you, Maria. So we've come up with a training module that consists of 5 different modules. It's just going to help the identified candidates re-enter the workforce. We're trying to give the basic fundamentals to them in order for them to be fully prepared to re-enter the workforce or enter it for the first time. A lot of our candidates will be identified by the bridge. They will be the candidates that will have the most success, that they feel will have the most success in entering the workforce. So the module 1 will be just getting a job. It's the basic fundamentals of resume forming, skills assessment, what they like to do, what they're interested in, what their skills are, and building on that. Dependability module is going to focus more on the candidates going into the workforce and being on time, being presentable, being a team player. They're going to review attendance policies of different area employers. Some employers have different policies than others. Some have a work from home, some have a come in a little bit later, some are very strict, 8 to 5 type thing. So building on that and discussing it with our candidates builds them and helps them go into the job search process with a little bit more faith. So from there, we're going to go into module 3, which is appearance, health and wellness a little bit, calling in sick, showing up in a nice dress or a nice suit, going by their policy, the dress code policy. Again, we're going to be going to different employers around the area and gathering different dress code policies in order to show them what different employers are looking for in candidates and potential employees. We're going to go into power of positive attitude. Attitude can cost jobs. It doesn't matter if you are really good at your job, if you are the best person on the team, if you are not a team player, if you have a bad attitude, it's going to cost you your job. I have been in the staffing industry for 5 years, and I have a client in Seattle, Microsoft, and I had one of the best coders that Microsoft has ever seen. And he had been there for 10 years. Eventually he felt like he reached his ceiling and started to come into work unhappy and not feeling challenged, and then he portrayed that and echoed that to the rest of the team, and eventually Microsoft let him go from a very high-paying job, and he still today is unemployed. And this is one of the best coders that we have in the industry. So the power of positive attitude is a big thing. It's a huge, probably 50-50 what employers are looking for right now. Your attitude, 50% of your personality and cultural fit, and then 50% is skill. So the next module that we're going to be going into is how to keep the job, which is going to play a lot on the other 4 modules. We're going to be building on keeping your job, learning options for managing your time, techniques for following directions and asking appropriate questions, being a team member, and then reviewing strategies independently on how to just be content and contained in their employment. So from there, I'm going to pass it to Brian, who's going to discuss staffing and measurement.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. So this is Tony Rogers. He is Dallas's regional manager for Walmart. He's going to be the one who comes in and is the facilitator for this project that we have going. Along with Tony, we're going to have 15 volunteers from the bridge who will help with just running all of the modules and making sure everyone's up to gear. And so we're going to measure success in a couple of different ways. Our macros are going to be how many people actually land a full-time position and are able to support themselves, along with transferring out of the bridge. Along with that, and more on a short-term scale, we're looking at how many people actually complete day 2 of the training. And along with that, we want to make sure that we have as many people as possible finish the actual 5 training modules. So our schedule and our timeline is pretty short. We want to finish the training modules, really fill them out all the way from April 1st to April 30th. And starting May 13th, we're going to have modules 1 and 2. And on the 14th, we're going to have the remaining modules 3, 4, and 5. And from there, I'm going to transfer to Chin, who's going to talk to you guys about the budget.
Thank you, Ryan. The overall cost for this project is $10,000. Big portion of the budget, $5,000, is going to the training module. This is a very unique training program. We want to design a very, very successful job training program for this particular group of the population. And of course, $2,500 is going to the data collection. Even though this is only 2 days job training, Walmart wants to provide a quantitative data and also measure our success. And we want to be an example and to bring this successful story to other corporations and also big major retailers. And we want to partner with them and a community to help the homeless populations to find their job in the future. We do have volunteers to help the event. However, this is a very professional, intensive program. So Walmart is going to provide our staffing and to assist the events during the job training. And we are looking for $1,250 into the budget. Of course, we will provide food and refreshment because we want to make sure all the job participants and job seekers are being taken care of during the training session, such as food, water, snacks, cookies, etc. And remaining $500, we are going to look for into the job training supplies, and that includes with binders, papers, and pens, and anything that can provide for our job seekers to help them to find a job. And now I'm going to pass to Eric and to discuss this investment opportunity.
Great, thank you, Jen. So as you can see here, our budget is $10,000. We're asking the Dallas Chamber of Commerce for $5,000 to match our investment for this training manual. What you guys get out of this as the Dallas Chamber is a manual that any company can use. This is not Walmart's intellectual property. We will be able to provide this to anyone who wants to put on a similar event. Okay? This is a job training manual that anyone can reuse, anyone can build on, anyone can use as a template, and right now, you guys all are holding a sample. Okay? So that's pretty powerful. If we do the math on this, I believe it was said earlier that we intend to have 100 people at this event. Okay? For $50 per person, we can take a person, get them a full-time job, transition them out of the bridge, free up space in the bridge for someone new. So for the cost of $50 per person, we can get one person off the street and into shelter. So, anyone have any questions about our proposal? Yes.
So is there any, so people come to the bridge as volunteers, correct?
Yes, they have some, they regularly have sponsored volunteers from churches and other organizations, yes.
Okay. So is there any specific program within Walmart itself? I know you said this was intellectual property for anyone, but is there going to be a program within Walmart to help them maybe transition into Walmart and then move up the chain in Walmart itself?
That's a really good question. One of the programs from the bridge that we didn't talk about, or we touched on briefly, was their employment opportunities. They connect people with job opportunities. The bridge is already partnered with Walmart, and so they have people who are well qualified for jobs that they recommend to us. This is for maybe the transitional stage, where if they had any dependency issues or things like that, they've been at the bridge long enough and they've sought treatment that they're ready to build their skills to re-enter the workforce. And so this is more for them.
So yeah, are you guys going to match the budget?
Yes, we will be, as you can see, we're asking for $5,000, and that's to match our investment.
Sorry, was not clear for me about training manual. So can you just like kind of briefly tell me what was it?
Sure. So it's a series of realistic scenarios and other activities that we can do to assess and touch on what some of the really fundamental aspects of entry-level work and the skills that you would need to do.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I asked was it was like 50% of total budget, so like I was just trying to
Gotcha.
get clear on that. All right, cool.
Yeah, I think we've got to cut this off. Thank you for your time.